Thanks.
So here, the number of sides of a rectangle is what? 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
4 minus 2 times 180. And then that gives us 2 times 180, which is 360. Okay?
Okay.
We're going to use this formula to calculate the angles of bigger shapes. For example, a pentagon. What's the sum of all the angles in a pentagon? How many sides does it have? N is 5, right? It has 5 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we got to just use that formula. N minus 2 times 180. Yeah. N minus 2 times 180. N is 5, so 5 minus 2 times 180. And again, this is in a bracket, so you got to subtract before you multiply. So you get 3 times 180, yeah, which is 540. There you go. The angles in a pentagon, the inside parts, they add up to 540.
Okay.
Let's look at this question. Polygon A is a 10-sided, and polygon B is also 10-sided, but A is regular, means that there's a pattern to it, there's a symmetry to it. Irregular means it's just jumbled up all over the place. The question is, are the sums of their interior angles equal? What do you think?
No.
What's the logic behind that?
I don't know.
They don't look equal, is that it? They don't
Yeah.
look equal, that's true. But the answer to this question is that they are equal.
Oh,
The
okay.
sum of the interior angles, because they're both 10-sided, right? N is 10. So if you were to use the formula for both of them, we would find that they're both n minus 2 times 180, and they'll both be 10 minus 2 times 180, whatever that is. Okay, so they are equal. Yes.
Okay.
Now, what if we flip it? What if they give us, look at this, the sum of the interior angles in a polygon is 1440. We don't know how many sides it has. Could have 20, could have 10. The question is asking us how many sides does it have? Again, remember, the angle, the sum of the angle, that's equals to n minus 2 times 180. So now they've given us the sum, and they're asking us what the how many sides are there.
So you just have to solve for n?
Right, so how do you solve this equation for n? So in us, the sum of the angles is 1440, yeah? That is equals to n minus 2 times 180. How do we solve this linear equation for n?
You divide by 180 first?
Yes, that's right. You divide by 180. So 1440 divided by 180, that's 8. So 8 is equals to n minus 2. And now what do?
You add 2?
Yes, so n is going to be 8 plus 2, n is 10. So this thing had 10 sides.
Okay.
Let's see. We just did that. Here's another idea, okay? Doesn't matter how many sides it has. Doesn't matter how many sides it has. The exterior angle means these angles, okay? Like this,
Okay.
this. The exterior angle of any polygon, now it doesn't matter what this thing is, it's always 360 for the exterior.
Okay.
For the interior, means the ones on the inside, you got to do n minus 2 times 180, but on the outside, it's always 360. Check this question out. Determine the measure of each exterior angle in a 11gon. That just means a polygon with 11 sides. So we know the sum of the exterior sides, yeah?
Is 360?
It's 360. It's asking us, what's the angle for each side? We know there's 11 sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the individual angle, we're going to say it's 11x equals 360. Where x represents the angle, each individual angle, and 11 is the number of sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
So x is going to be 360. How do we solve this equation for x?
You divide by 11?
Yeah, exactly. Divide by 11. So 360 divided by 11, that is 32, or almost 33 degrees. So that's the measure of
Mm-hmm.
each individual angle. The higher the number of sides, the lower this angle gets, because the total is 360, right?
Uh-huh.
So as you go up the number of sides, the individual angle is going to go down.
Okay.
Now in this question, we have a triangle, which is a three-sided polygon. What is going on here? Calculate the angle CBA. So CBA means you start from C, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Look down at B and go towards A. So we're looking at this right here.
Okay.
Any ideas on how to do this? I'll give you a hint. First, find this. What does an angle in a straight line add up to? An angle in a straight line, you see this?
Mm-hmm.
Always adds up to 180.
Okay.
Okay, so this is 150, yeah? What is this
Mm-hmm.
angle on the inside? This is a line. If this is 150, what's the angle on the inside? It should add up,
30?
exactly, it should add up to 180, so there you go, 30. Okay, rule number
Okay.
1. Angles in a straight line add up to 180. Even if there are multiple angles, see all these? The sum of all this is 180. Now next, what do the angles in a triangle add up to? Angles in a triangle. In a triangle, yeah, the sum
Mm-hmm.
is 180 degrees. Same thing as a straight line.
Okay.
Sum of all the angles in a triangle must add up to 180. It doesn't matter what kind of a triangle it is. It could be a right angle triangle, it could be equilateral, could be isosceles. Any type of triangle adds up to 180, okay? The angles on the
Mm-hmm.
inside. So if this is 70, if this is 30, what's this angle? So we know that should add up to 180, okay? We can call that x or whatever. So 70 plus 30 plus x is equals to 180, like that. That's the setup.
So other side is just 80?
Yeah, exactly. So that angle x is 80, okay?
Okay.
So this right here is 80. Now finally, we're going to use the straight line property again. If this is 80, what should this be? And notice this is a straight line. And angles in a straight line always add up to 180.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is 80, what's the angle here?
100?
There you go, and that's the answer. CBA.
Okay.
Okay, so just properties of straight lines and triangles. Yeah, they did what we did. All right, let's try some of these. So let's look at A. It's asking us for this side here, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
How do you think we should approach this? This is, what kind of shape is this, first of all? Is that a rectangle?
kind of.
No, it's not a rectangle. Rectangle needs to be straight, 90 degrees. See, all the angles in a rectangle are 90 degrees. This is something that's called a parallelogram.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all the sides at this side is parallel with this side is parallel. It's not a rectangle. Anyways, to find A, just look at the pattern. 30, 30, yeah. 50, what should this be? It's gonna be the same. Diagonals are gonna be the same. Alternatively, what you can do is,
150.
yeah, 150. Alternatively, what you can do is, how many sides does this have?
4.
4, right? So n is equals to 4. And we know the sum of the interior angles is n minus 2 times 2, right? So 4 minus 2 times 2, that's 2 times 2. Or not, why am I timesing it by 2 again? Times 180. Times 180. And minus 2 times 180. So the total sum of the interior angles is 360. Okay? So 150 plus 30 plus 30 plus A, when you add them up, you get 360. And if you subtract these from both sides, you'd find that A is also 150. That's another way of doing it, using the ideas learned in this unit. Cool?
Okay.
Let's look at B. That looks like a pentagon. For B, n is equals to 5. What do they want? They want the measure of each angle on the inside. Any ideas? First, step 1, find the sum of the interior angles. How do we find this? The sum of the interior angles means the sum of the angles on the inside, given that n is 5. Just use a formula, right? Just use this, n minus 2 times 180.
Okay.
So that is going to give us the sum of all of these angles, okay, on the inside. So 5 minus 2 times 180, that's going to be 3 times 180, 540. This is sum of the interior, all of them. They want the individual one. So what do we do in the next step?
You divide it by 5?
Yes, exactly. B, the individual angles, is 540 over 5. Yeah, like that. And what is that going to be? 540 divided by 5. It's going to be 108. And there you go. We're done.
Okay.
That makes sense to you? Sum of the interior angles? What if I asked you this? What is the sum of the exterior angles for a pentagon? Question is, what's the sum of the exterior angles in a pentagon?
360.
Yes, exactly. Good. Any shape, exterior angles adds up to 360.
Okay.
Let's look at C. In question C, we have two missing variables, C and D. Let's work on C first. Any ideas on how to do this? They have given us two angles, and it's a triangle on the inside.
Does it have to be 180?
Does. All the three of them, when you add them up, 37 plus C plus 59, the angles inside the triangle must add up to 180. So we can just do 37 plus 59 on this side. So C plus 96 is equals to 180. Now what do we need to do on both sides?
Subtract 96.
Yes, exactly. So 180 minus 96, which is 84. So C is 84 degrees. What about D? How would we find D? Notice it's a straight line. This angle and this angle, they're in a straight line. And what do angles in a straight line add up to?
180.
Exactly. So 59 plus D, this angle plus this angle must be 180. Subtract 59 from both sides, yeah? That's 121. And there you go. We are done. Let's look at D. D looks a little bit complicated. There's a lot going on here. We gotta do the puzzle one step at a time. All right, we can find out what H is. How do we find what H is? Again, look at this. What does H plus 73 add up to? And same idea as here. We just did this.
180.
180, right? Why is it 180? Again, look at this. They're on the same line, you see? Just like here, they're on the same line. Angles in a straight line add up to 180. Doing this, we can find that H is 107. Which one should we attack next? Which variable? We have 3 more missing.
E.
Yes, exactly. So E plus 35, what does that add up to?
180.
Yes. And just subtract 35 from both sides. We'll also get E, yeah? Which is 145. Now, the next one to attack would be F. Any ideas on how to find F? It's on a triangle and we're done with all the straight line parts. First of all, what's the shape on the inside? How many sides does it have? See this shape? How many sides does it have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So that's a irregular hexagon. Yeah.
Okay.
So what's the angle, sum of all the angles in a 6-sided polygon? Sum of all the angles inside is what? We need to use a formula. N minus 2.
6 minus 1.
Yeah, times 180.
180.
So 6 minus 2 is 4. 4 times 180, that is 720 degrees.
Okay.
So now that we know the sum, how can we find F? Subtract everything else, right, from 720. Because E plus F plus 149, all of these plus H, you see this? When you add them up, they're equal to 720. And E we know is 145, plus F is missing, and H we found out that was 107, plus 124 plus 81 equals 720, like this. And then you just want to subtract all of these from both sides to find what F is. So 720 minus everything else. And that gives me F is equals to 114 degrees. Okay. So yeah, there's 2 ways to find the angle. Either you add all of them up, but if you don't know that, you got to sum it up and take away everything else.
Okay.
So this question, yeah, was a little bit difficult, but it's not that bad. Let's do some more shapes. Yay. Alrighty. It's a very easy question, A at least. If this is 76, how do we find what A is? I can notice it's on a straight line.
You just subtract from 180.
Exactly. So 180 minus 76 is 104. What about here? How do we find B?
You do the same?
Yes. 180 minus 130 is 50. So this is going to be 51. Okay.
Okay.
Now how do we find C?
Um, what would be the sum of all of that?
So how many sides does it have?
4.
4, right? So it's going to be 4 minus 2 times 180. So it's going to be 360 is the total sum.
So you just subtract the numbers you have from 360.
Okay, what are the numbers that we have? So we have 51, 104, and what is this?
90.
Yeah, exactly. That's a symbol for right angle. Okay, that's 90 degrees. Like that. So what does that give us? 360 minus 51 minus 104 minus 90. The answer to that is 115. And that's done. Let's look at B. B looks complicated, but it's not. I mean, there's only 2 ideas. We need to use the straight line ideas and ideas on a triangle. Where do we start? Let's start with D. How do we find D? Again, this is a triangle, right? What do angles in a triangle add up to?
Just 180.
Yeah, exactly, 180. So that means this plus this plus this is 180, yeah? So to find D, you just take away the other 2, just like we did in A. Like that. That'll give us D.
78.
78, you said? Okay. Okay, perfect. Now that we have D. How do you find H? To find H, don't look in the triangle, look outside the triangle, like right here. See, that's a straight line. You see this? And all these angles are here. What do all the angles add up to on a straight line?
180.
180, right? So how do we find H? We just do 180, yeah? Take away everything else, 44 minus 79.
It's 57.
Yes. Did that make sense to you? H? Let's just look at this. Now that we have H, we can find G. Because again, this is a triangle, right? If you have 2 angles, we can find the third angle. So what do we do for G? 180 minus 29 minus H, 57.
It's 94.
Right. Now what do we do? Do we attack E, F, or I? Only one of them we are able to solve at this point. I'll tell you it's not I. I is going to be the last step.
Is it E?
Yes, it is E. How do we solve for E? To solve it from the triangle, you need the other 2 angles. We don't have F, so we can't solve it from the triangle. But we can solve it again. Look at this. This is not a straight line, but what do all these angles add up to? See that symbol?
It's 90.
Exactly. So 23 plus 29 plus E has to add up to 90. To solve for E, we just take away 29 and 23. Right?
And you get 38.
Yes, there we go. Once we have E, we're able to solve for F because we need 2 other angles. Solve for F, we just do 180 minus the other two because that's a triangle, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So 180 minus 67 minus 38, and that is 75. So once we have f, we can solve for I. How do we solve for I?
75 minus 180.
Yeah, the other way around though. 180 minus 75.
Mm-hmm.
So 105, and there we go, we're done.
Okay.
Okay, just two properties we had to use. Angles in a straight line adds up to, like, it doesn't matter how many there are. See, there could be like 20 of them, but the sum of this is gonna be 180.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one was angles in a triangle also add up to 180. This one's gonna be difficult, or I don't know, let's see, hopefully not. So when it comes to shapes, there are a couple of rules.
Mm-hmm.
And the rules are as follows. If you have a parallel line, yeah? See
Mm-hmm.
something like, maybe I'll even do this. These two lines are parallel, okay? You see
Uh-huh.
this angle up here? Angle down here will be the exact same thing.
Okay.
See this thing underneath this, B? This
Mm-hmm.
is also gonna be B, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If this is C, then that's also gonna be C down there. But here's the funny thing. If this is C,
Mm-hmm.
then this side, you see right here? That
Uh-huh.
side is C as well. Down here is C, but this side is also C. And this is called the Z rule. Whatever this angle here, this angle down here is gonna be the same thing.
Okay.
Applies in any direction. There, down here,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Let's look at A here, this one. So it's asking us to find X. Any ideas? If this is 30, where else is it gonna be 30? Notice it has the Z pattern going on, you see?
Like right where the D is, close to there.
Yeah, so now the question is this 30 or is the entire thing 30?
Just the smaller part.
No, the entire thing, because the smaller part is going somewhere else. Right, you see this line is going somewhere else.
Oh, okay.
It's not the smaller part, the entire thing is 30. So
Mm-hmm.
this, using the Z rule again, whatever is down here, this thing on the same line, it has to be on the same line. So that's why this goes all the way till this line.
Okay.
So if this entire thing is 30, how much is individual parts? The two circles here, they represent that they're equal. So just chop it in half, right? This is going to be 15.
Okay.
Entire thing is 30, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
That means that's going to be 15. Now, a better question is, what kind of a triangle is this? So it's this one, right? Where two sides are equal. You see this side is equal to this?
Mm-hmm.
The bottom side is not. Here, let me show you the different types of triangles. If two sides are equal, it's called an isosceles triangle.
Okay.
An isosceles triangle, whatever the angle is here, the angle there is going to be the same thing.
Okay.
So if this is 15 here, what's the angle here?
15.
Yes. And there we go. We have two angles in a triangle. We should be able to find the third one, right? How do we find X?
You just subtract
Yes.
from 180?
Yeah. So 180 minus 15, which is going to be 150, and we're done.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry if you're not comfortable with it. You will be eventually, once we keep doing these. Let's look at this. Again, we're trying to solve x. How do we proceed? What do we attack first?
The 120?
Yeah. If this is 120, what's the angle on the inside?
60.
Right. That is 60. If this is 60, that's 20. What is this going to be? Angles in a triangle add up to 180, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 60 plus 20 plus whatever this is, 180, just take away both of these, that's 100 degrees. 180
Okay.
minus 60 minus 20. If that's 100, what is this?
It's 80.
All right. To solve for x, we're going to need both of these. What kind of a triangle is this?
Isosceles?
Yes. So if that's 80, what's this going to be?
80?
Yes. To solve for x, we'll just subtract both of these from 180, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's also going to be 20 degrees.
Okay.
That makes sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
Again, we're just using properties of triangles and the straight line. We didn't even need the z rule for this one, but we will for C. This is 45. What is this?
45?
Yeah, one and done. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at D. So now they have not given us any numbers. What's the plan of attack for this one? X is the individual interior angle and Y is just the straight line rule. So we first need to find what X is. Step one, find out how many sides there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where did I start? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 8-sided. We can call that an 8-gon. Another word for it is octagon,
Mm-hmm.
where n is 8. Knowing this, how can we solve for x?
8 minus 2 times 180?
Yes. And this will give us, not x, but it will give us the sum of all the angles on the inside, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's 1080 degrees. And this is a sum of all the angles on the inside. Knowing this, how can we find x?
You can just divide.
Yes, you can divide by what?
8?
Yes, divide by 8. And that gives us 135, and that's what x is.
Okay.
If x is 135, you see right here, 135, because all the angles must be the same. How do you find y?
135 minus 180?
Yes, the other way around. 180 minus 135, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
45, there we go. Y is 45, and we're done.
Okay.
Okay, let's do this one by one. Same idea here. Any ideas on how to do this?
Well, B would be 50.
B would be 50. No, 130 and B, they're not on a straight line, right? This would be 50, this one.
Oh, okay.
Right? Actually, there's another rule that I didn't tell you. Opposite angles, you see this and this? They're equal. opposite angles are equal.
Oh, okay.
So knowing that this is 130, B is also gonna be 130, right?
Mhm.
But for C, you gotta use the 180 rule because they're on a straight line. These two angles are on a straight line. So what is C gonna be? I don't know if they're asking
80?
us exactly 80, right? And you see 80, 80, the pattern repeats. 130, down here is gonna be 130.
Mhm.
Up there, A is also 130. And this was
Okay.
50, right? Because
Mhm.
130 plus 50. So what is X then?
50?
Yeah, exactly. X is also 50.
Okay.
This one's also pretty simple. This is 85 again. You see this is a straight line. The
Mhm.
angle on the top on the inside is going to be 180 minus 85, so that's 95. What about this angle here?
45?
Yeah. Now, what is X going to be then? Once you know two angles in a triangle, we can find the third one, yeah, by just taking them away from 180. X is 40.
Mhm.
That one's pretty simple. Eventually, most of these you'll find they're simple.
Mhm.
Okay, they've given us 150 here. We can find the angle on the inside, right? What is this going to be?
30?
Yeah, 30. But now we don't have the other two. We don't have this one, so we can't find out X outright. But what we can do is turn this into an equation. The angles in a triangle, 30 plus X minus 15 plus X, what do they add up to? And again, this is the angles in a triangle, yeah? They always add up to 180. And there we
Mhm.
go. We get a linear equation. How do we solve this for X?
You subtract 30?
Okay, so you get X minus 15 plus X equals 150, subtracted 30. And then?
You add 15?
Right. So you get X plus X equals 165. What's X plus X?
165?
I don't know. What does X plus X equal though? Like, what does it evaluate to by itself?
Do you just divide 165 by 2?
Yes, X plus X is 2X.
Mhm.
Okay, so X is gonna be 165 over 2, 82.5 degrees.
Okay.
Again, we've done this a few times. We can either use the formula n minus 2 times 180. What are the sums in a quadrilateral equal to? The interior angles in a quadrilateral. 360, okay? Think of a rectangle. How did I get 360? I mean, this is n is equals to 4, right?
Mhm.
So the sum is equals to 4 minus 2 times 180, n minus 2 times 180, which will give you 360. So we know the
Uh-huh.
total sum is 360. How can we use that information to find X?
Do you just make an equation again?
Yes, you make an equation again. All the, whatever it is, x plus x minus 40 plus x minus 30, that is equals to 360, like that.
Mhm.
How do we solve this equation for X?
You add 40?
Or this is what you can do, but better yet, okay? See, there's 4x's.
Mhm.
What do they add up to? 4x, okay? 4x. You can just clean up this side. And then you see you have minus 40 minus 30. What's minus 40 minus 30?
10?
No. Minus 40 minus 30 is not 10. Plus 40 minus 30 is 10, not minus 40 minus 30.
70?
Minus 70. Okay?
Mm.
See, now this is much cleaner than, and this we can do this in 2 steps. Step 1, add 70 on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
What does that give? 440 equals 4x, and then divide both sides by x. X is 110.
Okay.
Let's do some word problems and struggle. Word problems, again, in any unit, you'll find that word problems are going to be more difficult than when they give you an equation or a diagram outright. An interior angle of a parallelogram. So we can start off by drawing a parallelogram. See, this is a parallelogram.
Mm-hmm.
What do the sum of the angles add up to?
360.
Right. And what else? What have they said? The interior angle of a parallelogram is the measure of the exterior angle adjacent to it multiplied by 4.
What does adjacent mean?
Like right here.
Oh, okay.
So if this is x, okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is going to be 4x.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay.
And this will be x. This will be x. This will be 4x.
Mm-hmm.
How do we find x? We know what it adds up to, right? It's a 4-sided quadrilateral, 360. The sum of the angles on the inside is 360.
Mm-hmm.
So add all of them up. 4x plus 4, that's going to be 10x equals 360. X is 36.
Okay.
That one wasn't so bad, but they will be. What is a symbol in front of ABC?
It's just a triangle.
It's just a triangle. Okay, and it doesn't have to be a fan. You can just draw it any way you want. Now let's see. B is 21 less than A multiplied by 4.
Mm-hmm.
So if A is x, what's B in terms of x?
Um,
21 less than A multiplied by 4. Okay, this has to do with the equations unit, right? That you're doing in school. 21 less than A multiplied by 4. It's 4x minus 21.
okay.
21 less than A divided by 4, and we know A is x.
Mm-hmm.
Try for C. C is 1 more than A multiplied by 5.
So 5A plus 1.
Yes. Like that.
Okay.
Now what do we do? How do we find x? What do the angles in a triangle add up to?
180.
Right. So we have x plus 4x minus 21 plus 5x plus 1, and this is going to add up to 180.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're going to clean this up. Check this out. 3 like terms, x, 4x, 5x. What do they add up to? 10x.
Uh-huh.
5x plus 5x, 10x. Now this is a question for you. Minus 21 plus 1. What does that add up to?
Minus 20.
Yes. So 10x minus 20 is 180. How do you solve this equation for x?
You add 20.
Yes. 10x equals 200, and then?
You divide by 10.
Yes, x is equals to 20. So that means angle A is 20. Angle B is 4 times 20 minus 21, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
80 minus 21, that's 59. And angle C is 5 times 20 plus 1, so 101. And we're done.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just do one of these. Question is find f, the missing variable that's up top there.
Does the total have to be like 720?
How did you know 720?
Like the formula.
Yeah. So you did 6 minus 2, 4 times 180, right? Yeah, 720. The total does have to be 720.
Mm-hmm.
Then from 720, what do we do? You just subtract all the angles on the inside
Mm-hmm.
because they have to add up to 720, right? So if you just subtract everything else, you'll get the missing guy.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives me f is 69 degrees.
Okay.
What kind of shape is this? It is not a rectangle. Why is it not a rectangle?
It's not straight.
Yeah, it has to be straight. It has to be 90 degrees.
It's a parallelogram.
Right, parallelogram. How are they related? The angles in a parallelogram.
They're parallel.
But what's the relationship between the angles? So if this is what's A gonna be, what's B gonna be? It's a one-step answer.
It's
There's
gonna
no.
be 65.
Yeah, so B is 65 and A is 115, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So the diagonal angles are equal in a parallelogram. What you could do is, you know, what exactly is a parallelogram? A parallelogram is simply, here, maybe you'll see it now. A parallelogram is two different triangles.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just cut it in half, we're gonna get two different triangles. Let's do the next one. How many sides are there? There's 4 sides. What do the sum of the interior angles add up to?
Um, 360.
Yes. So how do we find C?
You just subtract all that from 360.
Yes, so 360 minus 68 minus 1. Right, pretty simple. Done this a few times now. Minus 68 minus 126 minus 106. C is 60 degrees.
Mhm.
What about this?
Um,
How do we start?
it would be 29.
What did you do? Let me see if, yeah, that's right. I know what you did. You first found this and then you did 180 minus, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So there's 5 sides to this polygon, so it's a pentagon.
Mm-hmm.
5 sides add up to 540 by doing 5 minus 2 times 180. How do we
Mm-hmm.
find E? To find E, we have to find this first.
Mm-hmm.
We can call that an X, yeah?
Uh-huh.
So just subtract all 4 of them that we do know from 540. You understand where 540 came from?
Mm-hmm.
X on the inside is 93. How do we
Uh-huh.
find E? If this is 93, how do we find E?
Um, you just subtract 93 from 180.
Yes, so 180 minus 93, that's 87. E is 87.
Mm-hmm.
That one wasn't so bad, was it?
Uh-uh.
Let's do one of these questions. Actually, let's just look at the properties because I don't know if we have enough time to do it. So far we've done what? We've looked into parallelograms, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And we know what a rectangle is. Now, what's the differences between all of these shapes? Notice they all have 4 sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
How is a square different from a rectangle? For a rectangle, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the sides don't have to be equal, you see? Well, these sides are equal, and then these sides are equal, but they're not all equal.
Mm-hmm.
Square, all 4 sides have to be the equal thing, exactly the same. So that's the difference between a rectangle and a square, right?
Mm-hmm.
For a parallelogram, what's a parallelogram? It looks something like this. Again, the sides don't have to be equal. Yeah, well, this side is going to be equal to this, but this side is not equal to this.
Uh-huh.
And also, more importantly, here every angle is 90 for square and rectangle, but for parallelograms, none of them are 90s.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so that's the main shape. Let's look at something that we haven't actually looked at, which is a rhombus. Okay, now what is a rhombus? A rhombus is a mix of parallelogram and a square.
Okay.
What does that mean? That means all 4 sides are equal, but they're not 90 degrees. See, 1, 2,
Mm-hmm.
3, 4. All 4 sides are equal, but they are not 90 degrees. Trapezoid is just something like this,
Mm-hmm.
where none of the angles are the same. Yeah, they're all going to
Mm-hmm.
be different angles, and side lengths are also going to be different. But if it's isosceles, that means just like an isosceles triangle, these 2 side lengths are equal.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, we have a kite. You see that? Kite. Looks like
Mm-hmm.
this. So what's going on in a kite? In a kite, this side is equal to this side, and this side is equal to this side.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at it, like if you flip this, it's gonna become a normal trapezoid. Like if you look at it, wait, let me pull this up. See, it's like this right now, yeah?
Mhm.
But if you were to look at it like this is a trapezoid. This is a
Yeah.
kite, and this is a trapezoid, okay?
Okay.
So yeah, these are the other diagrams that we'll be working with next time.
Okay.
Right, I'll see you then. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you.